Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about British-made vintage tubes, or the way they call them in Great Britain, valves. So we have, for example, Ecc83 or 12AX7, however you want to call it. I call it Ecc83 because I'm European and why not? So anyways, I have two examples of Mullards and one Brimar. They're both vintage made. Those tubes are not produced anymore for, I think, since the early 80s, if I'm not wrong. There is a difference between a Brimar and Mullard. I think like any vintage tube company. They both have a great sound, but they are a little different. First thing I want to say, none of these tubes has original box or came with original box, or none of the markings are original. They're all been rebranded some way or another. For example, this Mullard here, it only says Ecc83, nothing else, and there is must be a yeah, there it is. I don't know if you can see. There's a Blackburn code. This one here has been rebranded by General Electric, so very interesting. So there you can clearly see it's a Blackburn code, but this is definitely not the General Electric tube. So it's a Mullard, we know that for sure now. And this is a Mazda rebranded Brimar. Now, how do I know this is Brimar? It says made in England, PVA, and it doesn't say anything else. There's no any other factory code on it, but for I did the research, this is definitely a Brimar. It matches the way the plate construction is, and I read a lot that Mazda used to, among others, rebrand a lot of Brimars, so this is definitely a Brimar tube. Now, the Mullards are basically, I would say, the rock stars of the tubes, and I understand why, because at least in a guitar amp they do a lot of magic. Mullards are very rich in the mid-range, which is, in my opinion, the most wanted frequency in any guitar amp, because I believe the guitar is run on the mids, so very enriched mids, so that's a winner. It's a great sounding tube. The mids, like I said, the mids are definitely the strings of this tube. The bottom end, the bass is strong, yet sometimes just a little bit mushy. But you know, that also depends on what tube combination you have. Let's say if you have a Mullard running with Brimar, which is way brighter, you're gonna get a really decent sound. Now, what I want to say about Mullards, they're really hard to find, and you know, if you're gonna find one with the original Mullard logo, you're probably gonna pay extra bucks, because you know it's probably for most like a collector's purpose. You know, for me, all it matters that it has a Blackburn cone and it's actual Mullard. I don't care if it says General Electric or it doesn't say anything, as long as it's a Mullard and it works. That's just a win. And like I said, it's a very rich tube. I understand why it's so sought after. They work phenomenally in any guitar amp I tried so far, and yeah, they're just generally very reliable tubes, and you know, just great. And here we have example of Brimar. This is also made. I forgot now. Please write in the comments where the Brimar exactly was made in England. I forgot. I just forget it right now. But anyways, the Brimar, this is the only Brimar I have. So I can say if I had 15 of them, I can say there might be a difference between them. But I can say this tube, it has something similar to Mullard, yet it's different. It has, I would say, that British fingerprint to it. That really nice warm mid-range, but this tube is a little more brighter on the top, which you know, I don't personally prefer, but there's this great thing that if you can combine, if you put a combination together of Mullard and Brimar, you can actually balance out your soundstage pretty well, because like I said, Mullard is a little, maybe sometimes a little bit too strong on the middle, low mids and the bass. So with a little bit of brighter type of tube, you can balance it out pretty well. So I would say that Mullard and Brimar can go really well together. Now, another thing I want to say is that none of these tubes are affordable. I happen to find them for a good price. So if you really want to have the original Mullard logo on it, you're going to pay a lot. You know, like I said, it's probably even considered as a collector's item. But if you just want to have a Mullard, vintage Mullard, it sounds great, then you probably don't care what's written on the tube. Either it's Mullard or General Electric or whatever. So, and this is going to be another whole nother video. Next time I'm going to talk about the rebranded tubes, how to spot a certain tube. Because back in the day, as you might know, there was a lot of manufacturers that were rebranding each other's tubes, and there were some other like brands that were pure rebranders. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and you just need to know where to look at the details to find what you're dealing with. So on that note, I want to say Brimar and Mullard, they're both amazing vintage tubes from United Kingdom. They sound amazing, and if you can find yourself a few for a good price, get them. They're getting rarer and rarer. So yeah. Get them before they're completely out. So good stuff. I always recommend British stuff, British tubes. So you can't go wrong with these. So Brimar and Mullard, good stuff. That's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more and see you next time.